Hello and Assalamualaikum everyone. My name is Brajesh Swaling. I am teacher training student at Han School, Hall Campus, and welcome. Today we will be discussing how to write better and communicate our ideas clearly. Good writing and clear communication are essential skills in school, work, and everyday life. When we express our thoughts clearly, we build stronger relationship, avoid misunderstanding, and make a greater impact. Let's explore practical way to improve our writing and communication skills. So,
No problem. Be right here whenever you're ready.
Assalamu alaikum, Maya.
Walaikum assalam. I'm ready when you are.
So
Should we
my
dive back into the writing communication? I'm listening.
so my first question is, why is good writing an important skill?
That's a great good writing the power for your ideas. It's the difference between someone just glancing at your thoughts and actually feeling them. Right? Clearly. You're not just it lets other people see exactly what you see without anything translation. More clearly yourself.
What makes communication clear and effective?
I think it comes down to knowing your audience. Clear communication isn't about using the biggest words or being the most polished person in the room. It's about making the distance between your head and the other person's head as short as possible. That means stripping away the fluff and focusing on the why and the how in a way that actually lands for them. It's as much about listening and observing as it is about the words you choose.
What are the qualities of a good writer?
For me, the best writers are usually the best observers. They have this knack for noticing the small human details that everyone else misses and then framing them in a way that feels universal. Beyond that, I'd say curiosity is huge. They're always asking what if, why, and they have the discipline to be ruthless with their own work, knowing when to cut a sentence that sounds pretty but doesn't actually do anything for the story.
How can we organize our ideas before writing?
I'm a big fan method. Just get everything out of your head and onto the page without judging it first. Once the chaos is out there, you can start grouping related thoughts together and mapping out a logical flow. It's much easier to organize a mess that's already visible.
How can we make our writing simple and easy to understand?
The secret is to write for one person. Instead of trying to address a crowd, imagine you're explaining the idea to a friend over coffee. That naturally urge to use jargon or overly complex sentences because you're focusing on connection, not performance. If you can't explain it simply, you probably don't understand it as well as you think you do.
What are what are common mistakes people make while writing?
One of the biggest ones is definitely trying to sound professional instead of sounding human. People often fall into the use speak or overly formal language, and it just creates this wall between them and the reader. Then there's the habit of over explaining. They're so afraid of being misunderstood that they repeat the same point 3 different ways, which actually makes the main idea harder to find. I also see a lot of people ignoring the power of a pause, or in writing, the power of a short sentence. When every sentence is long and winding, the reader just runs out of breath.
How can reading improve writing skills?
Reading is essentially like a master class in writing. that you get to experience in real time. When you read widely, you start to subconsciously pick up on the rhythms and patterns that work. You notice how a great author builds tension, how they transition between ideas, or how a single well placed word can completely change the mood of a scene. It's like expanding your vocabulary, not just for words, but for how to structure a thought. Do you have a favorite author or book that you feel really captures the way you'd like to write?
How can we how can we improve our vocabulary?
The best way is to stop a study session and start treating it like a scavenger hunt. Instead of memorizing lists, try to notice words in the wild, in a podcast, a book, or even a random conversation or a situation perfectly. When you find one that clicks, use it immediately. This message.
How do
The trick is to make a full perfect way to keep track of those gems. Are you collecting specific words or is it more of a mix of phrases and ideas that catch your eye?
how does storytelling improve communication?
Storytelling is basically stories are what make that information stick. When you tell data, you're giving them a feeling and a context. It turns a lecture into an experience, which is why we remember a good anecdote way to remember a bulleted list.
What advice would you give to someone who struggles with writing?
First off, I tell them to give themselves permission to write something truly terrible. The biggest hurdle is claiming that it isn't perfect yet. I'd suggest just letting the ugly first draft happen. Get the ideas out without any judgment. Once the pressure to be brilliant is gone, the actual writing becomes way less scary. Do you feel like that pressure to be perfect is something you deal with too?
How can clear communication prevent misunderstandings?
It's all about closing the gap between what you mean and what they hear. Misunderstandings usually happen in the space where we assume the other person has the same context we do. Clear communication acts like a spotlight. It illuminates the specifics, so there's no room for guesswork. When you're explicit about your intent and you check in to make sure the other person is on the same page, you're basically eliminating the guessing game that leads to those frustrating mix ups.
What habit can help improve communication skill over time?
Consistency beats intensity every single time. The best reflection after a conversation, just where did that land well? Where did it get a little fuzzy? Mistakes and start spotting the patterns of what actually works. Do you ever find yourself overthinking a conversation? I'm standing by.
So, my last question is, what is the biggest lesson you have learned about writing and communication?
The biggest lesson.
Thank you everyone. Thank you everyone for joining today's conversation, how to write better and communicate your ideas clearly. I hope today's conversation has inspired you to improve your writing and express your ideas with confidence. Remember, great communication being with the clear thinking and regular practice. Thank you for your time, and I look forward to seeing you you in our next discussion. I have a wonderful day. Thank you and Allah Hafiz.